All right, everybody, you know what time it is. The Real Talk Sports Show is coming up right now. I am. Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, the Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we thank God for all those of you who are watching and tuning into the broadcast here on another Tuesday night. You know how we do it. We're bringing to you great sports talk from just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Appreciate all those of you tuning in to listen today and tonight. And also, big shout out to those of you who are listening and watching on the replay. Remember, follow us anywhere on social media at Real Talk Sports, the number 7. Follow us, please. And please do me a favor. When you go onto YouTube, subscribe, and subscribe. You really could, use it. We're trying to get to that unbelievable goal of, not unbelievable, I'm sorry. We're trying to get to the goal of 1,000 subscribers. And the only way we can do it is through you, my friends and citizens. Well, today you're going to have to hear a lot of me today because my tag team partner, I should say one of the most beautiful women in sports talk radio, the lovely Miss Treat Dolan, will not be joining us tonight. But I'm expecting all of those of you to jump in here and talk to us. We're going to talk about two things tonight. We're going to talk about the Falcons. I don't know, that's just two things, but that's one of the things we're going to talk about is the Falcons and their quarterback quest. Now a new name has jumped into the picture, and if you want to find out who it is, you got to keep it locked right here, and we're going to talk about that. Also, want to give some big shout outs to those who have broke records. There were some records that were broken over the last couple of days in the world of sports, and certainly we don't want to, let the day go without talking about that as well. And then I'm looking for you guys to jump into the broadcast and tell me what you think about the Falcons fit for quarterback. Also, if you have some breaking news yourself that you want to talk about in the world of sports, we are wide open for you to do so. All right, hang tight. We're going to take a quick little commercial break. No, we're not. We're going to stay right here. We'll stay right here. I'm just getting some things done set up here in the studio for you so we can have lots of great overlays. I will pop my smiling face in the picture. Here I am. What's up? Yes, again, we appreciate all those of you who have, again, tuned in to join us here on the broadcast live on Real Talk Sports Show. Well, first of all, we want to give speaking of shout out, we want to talk about a guy that I actually had a chance to meet him one time. I was at, I want to say it was one of the Falcons games. I'm not sure, but I did get a chance to meet this man, a guy who is a living legend in the world of sports broadcasting. I'm talking about, we want to give uh, I don't say kudos. We want to say kudos to his career, but we want to definitely be able to give our condolences to his family and everybody that was at the ESPN family where he plied his trade. And of course, I'm talking about the late great Chris Mortensen. I'll have his picture up for those of you watching in just a second, so we can, again, just honor this guy. A great, great sportscaster, a guy who came on and really made it. Was a reporter. I mean, he's an old school reporter. This is a guy that said, "Hey, man, I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way." He reported. He kept his facts straight. You didn't have any wild rumors coming from this man. And he was just a great guy to watch. And all the guys from ESPN, if you have not seen it already, have all offered their kudos to him. So again, Chris Mortensen passing. We're very, very sorry to hear that and see that. He was a guy that's been battling cancer for a while. Kind of reminded me of when Craig Sager, a guy here that was well known here, his son still is involved in sports broadcasting. A guy who I kind of, to some degree, patterned myself after a little bit. He always was clean. Now, some of his suits might be a little bit louder than what I would wear, but nevertheless, the guy was always razor sharp, always interacting with coaches and so forth. And so he kind of reminds me of that, and battled cancer. And matter of fact, I know for watching him, he oftentimes in his final years, his last couple of years when he was battling with this, came on the air. And I remember when I first saw him, he had lost so much weight. I can tell you that I've been there, done that, have not had cancer, hopefully never to get it. But I remember having two operations and being in a situation when I first came back. The operations were took a big effect on my body. I actually lost 45 pounds in about 30 days. So when I finally got back out to cover sports, probably about 3 months after my operations, people saw me and they had that same look. I was gaunt, frail looking, kind of couldn't move around too good. But thanks be to God, here we are almost 6 years later. And the Lord allowed me to survive both that operation and a second one to do some things. So I know that feeling, man, when you were trying to get back to a normal sense of life. And like you said, your body's kind of frail. So, our hopes and prayers that, as you know, as a preacher, I hope and pray that he knows the Lord Jesus Christ as personal Savior, because if that's the case, there is no question that his life now is much better than anything that he would have lived here on the earth. But again, our condolences to the passing of a sports broadcasting legend, Chris Mortensen, gone at age 72 after a lengthy battle with cancer. Big shout out to him. Speaking of shout outs, we had some massive records in the world of basketball that were taken down over the last week. And it's interesting, guys, for those of you who may be a little bit on the male chauvinist side, women's basketball has been dominating the headlines and the airwaves in college basketball. Caitlin Clark, I'm just reading you a couple of headlines. ESPN said this about her game where she broke the record with, and the record that she broke was she has become the all-time college basketball scoring leader. When I say all-time, men and women included, she is now the queen pin of college basketball scoring. She surpassed the late great legend Pistol Pete Maravich, who out of LSU had held the record before, and she now broke Maravich's record. And I'll give you what the record is here. He had the overall NCAA Division I scoring record, again held by Mr. Pete Maravich. Caitlin Clark, she now has a new nickname, Ponytail Pete, as she has passed him. And the game that she did it, doing what she does: 35 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists. As Iowa, number 6 Iowa, upset. I wouldn't say upset, but knocked off number 2 Ohio State 93-83. It ended the 15-game winning streak by the Ohio State Buckeyes and allowed her again to break the record, hitting 2 foul shots to go ahead of Pistol Pete Maravich. Now, of course, you had some pundits come on and say, well, hang on a second. Hang on. That, Pistol Pete set his record in 47 less games. And this was by Mike Bell here on our local radio station, 92.9 The Game. He talked about, hey, well, Pistol Pete did this in 47 less games. And also Pistol Pete had no three-point moniker. No three-point line. Now, of course, we don't want to throw any shade on her record. This woman has been, along with, I don't want to say her nemesis, but along with her great rival out of LSU, the young lady they call the Bayou Barbie. These two guys are really going to be must-see TV, and I think that they could be, as many people pointed out, a real shot in the arm for the WNBA. But again, I want to give a big shout out to Caitlin Clark, who broke the all-time college basketball scoring record for both men and women. She has now shattered the record. I'm going to tell you if I can get this up here for you, what the actual record is. There it is right here, but it's right in front of me. She has scored an unbelievable 3,685 points in her college basketball career, surpassing Pistol Pete, who had 3,684 points in his career. And the crazy thing about Pistol Pete is Pistol Pete. Now this is not a joke, guys. Pistol Pete averaged over 40 points a game in college. As a matter of fact, in his final season, and I remember this season only because not so much I was very cognizant. I think it was about 10 or 11 at that time, but because one of our hometown heroes, Calvin Murphy, had battled out with him and Rick Mount to see who was going to be the scoring leader that year. And Pistol Pete, I think, ended up with 44 points a game. Rick Mount had 41, and Calvin Murphy averaged around 38 points a game in college. And all three of these guys were playing again before the 3-point range. And all three of these guys were deadly from the outside. So conceivably, Pistol Pete could have actually been in a situation where he scored 50 points a game in college. But like I said, the floor belongs to Caitlin Clark of Iowa, 3,685 points, now setting the all-time college scoring record for men and women all time. Now, speaking of another all-time record, we want to give a big shout out to a guy who, I don't want to say it's controversial anymore, but a guy that still, has fans and detractors on both sides of the aisle. LeBron James did something that I don't think anybody could have thought that even he, when he came out, all the hype that he came out with out of college, that he could do something like this. LeBron James became the first NBA player to score in excess of 40,000 points. That's right. LeBron James has now scored over 40,000 points in his NBA career, which is mind-boggling. Okay, mind-boggling. And if you guys kind of catch me looking away from the camera, I'm a one-man production crew, so I'm trying to look at all this information while I'm looking at you as well. But yeah, LeBron James, his numbers are just, like I said, they are beyond the pale. This man, in his career, I want to just give you some stats here that is just kind of crazy. The man is now in his 21st season or 20th season. Throughout his seasons playing in the NBA, he has averaged about 38 minutes per game played. Okay. 38 minutes a game. Right. That's his lifetime career average. His lifetime career points average is 27.1 points a game. His lifetime rebound average is 7.5 points a game. And his lifetime assist average is 7.4 points a game. Okay. For 20 years, this man has averaged almost 30 points, almost 8 rebounds, and 8 assists per game. Now, that is insanity when you look at those numbers. It's just crazy. But that's what this guy has done. And so, it's argument back and forth between, is he the GOAT, Michael Jordan the GOAT? Obviously, Michael's 6-0 in the NBA Finals. I think he has a total of 5 or 6 MVPs. Defensive Player of the Year a couple of times. Offensive Player of the Year, obviously, multiple times. He was a dominant player. And I think one of the most feared basketball players ever in the history of the NBA. But again, the shout out belongs to LeBron James. Mad props to him for scoring 40,000 points. Now, here's the thing, guys. I want to tell you that's so crazy about this, and why this record may never be broken. Now, of course, all records, are made to be broken. But if you really look at what it would take to break his record, it would take someone to come out, basically like him, out of high school and play at an all-star level for 2 decades. 2 decades. Okay. And on top of this, he has won titles with 3 different teams. And again, not taking away from Michael, but LeBron, the closest he had to a Scottie Pippen was why am I drawing a blank? Number 3 for Miami. I can't believe this. Oh my, D Wade. That's close he had. And really, he was catching D Wade probably towards the latter end of his career. I mean, he was still D Wade, but he wasn't the D Wade that had won a title from Miami back in 2006 with Shaq. So if you really look at what LeBron James has done, it really has been incredible. Matter of fact, even taking the Lakers to the finals, I think in his second year, where basically he carried a Cleveland team on his back, took them to the finals. and dropped 40, I think it was 48 points in one of those games. I think the first game or the second game against the Lakers. When they were the Lakers, when they had, still Shaq and Kobe. I'm just saying. So again, big shout out to LeBron James, big shout out to Caitlin Clark. Two people who have set records that may never be broken. Well, speaking of never be broken, our time here is not going to be broken, except for a quick moment. But you don't want to go away from the Real Talk Sports Show. We got more great sports to talk about. We look forward for you to jumping on here on social media. We'll be back with more good sports talk in just a moment. Hang on. Don't go nowhere. Did you know that Allen Visual Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the visual touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make. The day has arrived. It's time to let more people know about your business. You have the right marketing plan and the messaging in place. But do you have the right messenger? Good advertising and promotions need a professional sound so the message can be clearly understood. Don't leave your brand image to chance. Let our team of voiceover experts at CME lend you a hand. Give us a call at 678-304-8121 to find out how we can partner with you to give your business its voice.
Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm Aria, the first AI presenter for Real Talk Sports. We want to get your feedback about my participation in the show, so please leave comments. So stay tuned, the Real Talk Sports Show is coming up.
A little bit of a groovy beat there, and trying a little AI, trying to get that worked out and get into this, because I don't know if you guys have paid attention to this, but AI seems to be everywhere. I mean, like even a guy like me that does some voiceover work, it's very scary to know that you now have these very popular voiceovers that are not a real person, just like artificial intelligence. As a matter of fact, you and I can be cloned. We actually can make an artificial intelligence version of ourselves using our own voice. Now, I'm not going to get into this on the sports show, but that's kind of a scary thing to know that this type of technology is available. And I think that we're really going to have to do some things to monitor this, because if not, just think about the scams and the stuff that's going to go on with people being able to clone your voice. I'm just saying. All right, let's go to social media here and take a peek here. Todd says, Preacher, fire that AI lady. She's a little creepy. Well, yeah, I'm gonna fire her. I'm gonna replace her with another one. But isn't that? I'm just saying. And here's the crazy thing. That's like the Joe, Five and Dime, or what's the store I'm looking at? The dollar store version. The real ones are off the chain. And those of you who do a lot of YouTube watching, they got a guy that's they have a voice guy. Look, listen to me. They have an AI voice. It's one of the most popular AI voices used, and it's used on all these videos. They're getting hundreds and thousands of views. And you hear this voice, and it's not a person. It's artificial intelligence. I'm just saying, some weird stuff going on out there, and we're right in the middle of it, boys. Anyway, okay, let's continue to move on here. Appreciate all those of you who have logged in to join us here. Especially appreciate all the new viewers on YouTube and on LinkedIn. Appreciate you so much. Now, the other thing I would appreciate is we tried to focus on the good news of sports. We tried to really get into all this crazy stuff. We get into some semi-heated banter from time to time, but not too often. We really try to keep it like we're trying to focus on the things that make up really the good news in sports. And speaking of this, I want to show you a couple of quick clips that I had. I actually went to cover the week of events during the Super Bowl. So I want to do this. First of all, for those of you who are pining away, waiting for my co-host, Tree Dolman, to come on, I will announce again that she will not be with us this evening. So for those of you who are tuned in just to see her lovely face on the screen, I will give you a quick shot of her on the runway at the Off the Field NFL Wives fashion show, so you might have your fix of the lovely Miss Tree Dolman. Here she is on the red carpet fashion walk. Ah, isn't she lovely? There she is, right there, loving Miss Tree Dolman. That was her strutting her stuff there on the red carpet. And speaking of that, let me do this really, really quickly here. I want to give a shout out to the women, since it is Women's History Month. I want to let you look quickly at an interview I did a couple years ago with one of the NFL wives, uh, not staff members, but on the executive team. So take a listen and take a look.
All right, guys, we are at the NFL Players Wives Fashion Show, and this young lady, as you can see with her beautiful outfit, worked the carpet. She's going to introduce herself to you right now.
Hi, I'm Tamiko McKenzie, and I'm a proud board member of Off the Field NFL Wives Association. And today we just had a wonderful, fabulous 22nd annual fashion show, and it was a great success. Happy to be here in Phoenix at the Scottsdale Mall. Thank you.
Great job you guys do every year, and it's got to make you feel very proud to have your husband.
Yeah, I had to kind of, you can hear me kind of screaming over the top there, a lot of music playing in the background. But yeah, we cover that every year. Want to give a big shout out to the ladies. It's Women's History Month all month long. So you know how we do it, guys. Take care, give women their flowers while they can smell them. There's no question there's so many women doing some great things here. We know in the NFL, we have the first female president of an NFL team. I should say the first African American female president of an NFL team out there at the Raiders. We know that women's flag football is on the rise here across the U.S. And of course, women's basketball, we see in college basketball, it is unbelievable the noise that Caitlin Clark is making. As I mentioned, the game that she broke the record for Iowa had the top in-season TV rating of an ESPN game since 1999. They said over 4 million peak viewers. And that's the biggest amount of women's viewers since 1999. And no regular season game for any women have ever topped that mark. And the closest one they had was back in 1999 when the two legends squared off, the Tennessee Volunteers against UConn and Huskies. And those two dominant teams went to clash. And that was the biggest drawing up to that time, 3.88 million, but 3.99, almost 4 million viewers for Caitlin Clark as she set the record. I got to tell you, as much as it's March Madness right now, it's March Madness à la femme, because the women, I think, are going to possibly have the outside shot outdrawing the men for the breadth of the tournament, especially once you get in that Final Four, because not only do you have the Caitlin Clark story, you have LSU with all their star-studded players there. You have the South Carolina Gamecocks already have won 2 national championships, and right now they are undefeated as they continue to roll along and play some dominant women's basketball. So, yeah, man, the women are making headlines. And here's the thing. They have this young lady out of USC. I can't call her name right now. I'm drawing a mind block. I'm not sure why. But let me see if I can get it here for you here. USC women's basketball star. And she's lighting up as well. So, yeah, man, the women are making some noise in college basketball. It's incredible. They are just they're just doing it up. And I think what it is, too, is I think because you have the situation where when women's basketball, it kind of harkens back to the way the March Madness used to be back to the 80s and 90s, early 2000s, where players, stayed on the team for at least a couple of years. There wasn't so many one and dones that you've had recently. So you got a chance to build these storylines. Yeah, who I'm talking about there, USC freshman sensation, Juju Watkins. She is rolling and putting up some huge numbers out there, USC, bringing back the Pac-12 to prominence. So look for her. Look for, again, Dawn Staley, the legendary former WNBA star, former college star, and now becoming one of the great coaching legends in women's basketball. Like I said, her South Carolina team, the other USC, is currently undefeated. So look what we got here. You got just all these big names going on right now. You have Juju Watkins out there, USC. Iowa's got Caitlin Clark. You got Paige Workers over at UConn. You got Stanford with Cameron Brink. You have Notre Dame's Hannah Hidalgo. They complete kind of the top 5 for women's players in college basketball right now. And then, of course, you got all the things that are happening out at LSU. So, like I said, man, you got to give a big shout out to the women, because right now they're playing a really compelling brand of basketball. And like I said, again, they have the storylines. They got the storylines, man, that just right now, men's basketball. I can't even name a men's basketball star. Can you? I mean, seriously, I cannot even name a men's basketball star. That would never happen. I remember back in my day, especially in the 90s, the 2000s, man, you had all these guys like uh, uh, Duke teams, and you had Grant Hill. You had all these different stars in these different teams. You had the guys over at the Running Rebels over at Las Vegas, University of Las Vegas, Larry Johnson and that crew. And these guys played multiple times. Matter of fact, UNLV and Duke played back-to-back national titles. So you kind of were anticipating them again. If you go back in the 80s, when the Big East was dominant, you had guys like Patrick Ewing and you had Chris Mullins and you had guys like this that were battling back and forth. You waited for the men's Final Four. You don't have it now. You don't have it. Now, like I said, it's dominated by women's basketball. And as I mentioned before, I got a brain lock to Bayou Barbie, aka Angel Reese. And certainly, if you remember last year, her showdown against Caitlin Clark was must-see TV. And she said, listen, I mean, there was a lot of pushback about, the hand signals and all that kind of good stuff. But at the end of the day, she said, listen, great competitor. I look forward to competing against her, and great kudos when she had broken another scoring record earlier, man. So like I said, again, the women, they're making it happen. So big shout out to the women. And what better time for women's sports to be dominant than in Women's History Month, which is in the month of March. All right, now you guys know I do this show here out of Atlanta. And so there is some breaking news here out of the A. The reigning MVP, Ronald Acuna, suffered an injury during a rundown in the spring training games, and he is now going to get some examination out in LA. They say he's got some minor problems around his knee, maybe a little inflammation, but they're all saying that he's supposed to be ready for opening day. But certainly Braves fans are feeling some kind of way because this guy is, like I said, in fact, the reigning MVP. And here's the thing about Acuna: he's got a lot to prove, because if you think about the Braves and what they've done over the last couple of years, especially look at last year, 104 and 58 overall, dominated during the regular season at least, and then find themselves unable to get past the first round. Well, keep in mind, when the Braves won 2 years ago, Ronald Acuna was injured and did not play. Did not play. So you have a situation where Acuna is thinking, hey, man, I'm this dominant player. I didn't play when we won the world title. And oh, by the way, last year, the guy batted under 150, 2 of 14 in a 4-game debacle against their arch nemesis, the Philadelphia Phillies. And as a matter of fact, was so discombobulated, refused to speak to the press after the Phillies knocked them off in Game 4 and left. So Acuna has got a lot to prove, and does the Braves. This lineup is once again stacked. When you look at it from up and down, this lineup, they have him, they have Matt Olson, they have all these stars in these teams on this team. And you look at this team and you say, hey, we got a dominant team, but they have to do better. The last 2 years after they won this world title, they have been knocked off by their arch rival, the Phillies. This is a team that they had a 14-game winning margin over last year, and they lost in 4 games. They kind of look like pipsqueaks. So the Braves got a lot to prove, and they're going to have to really this year, they've all said it, it is the World Series or bust. And not only World Series, they have to win, in my mind. The Braves are going to have to win this World Series with this type of lineup in order for them not to fall back into the Braves of the 90s. If you remember, guys, those Braves teams in the 90s, they had guys like Chipper Jones, they had Maddox, they had Smoltz, and throughout that run, with all of the Eastern Division titles, they went to the World Series, I believe it was 4 or 5 times, but they only came out with 1 World Championship. That's the 1995 championship over the Cleveland Indians. So, bravos. They're gonna have to make some noise here in postseason. They're gonna have to really, like I said again, to me, you obviously get to the World Series, but I think they need to win. All right, let's go to social media here and see what's cooking on social media here. Here it is. Todd is saying the update is Tex came back, sprained knee, and I think him and agent Borres now wants to sit him until they get that contract. And He says this has got holdout written all over it. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. Scott Boras is a nasty man when it comes to getting big money for his clients and aggravating both sports owners and fans alike. But I think Ronald Acuna, again, this is a guy that wants to win. He wants to win a World Series. He wants to prove that he is the quintessential straw that stirs the drink, so to speak. Not to the same level as Reggie Jackson, because obviously, like I said, when you got a guy that like Matt Olson that breaks the all-time team home run record, hit 54 home runs, I think 55 home runs last year. But again, and you got Austin Riley, you got Ozzie Albies. You have basically a Brave team. I think had 7 All-Stars. Matter of fact, at one point, the whole starting infield was all Braves players. Doesn't get too much better than that, except for the shortstop. So at the end of the day, this is a team that's deep. This is a team that should win. If they don't win, well, it's going to be a nasty taste in everybody's mouth if they can't do it. And I don't think he's going to hold out for that reason. I think he wants to prove that he's worth the money. And here's the thing: nobody held him. Nobody held a gun to his head. Neither him or Ozzie Albies. Let's go back to social media here. Yep. And Todd said, "Yeah, I just said that. Yeah, we won it without him, and we can do it again." And Todd also says, to be honest, he's talented, but he's not a leader. Well, here's the thing. He has made some strides in trying to make things happen. Keep in mind, it's always tough when you are a foreign national and you're trying to be, quote unquote, the leader of your team. He's not from here. He doesn't speak the language. I mean, he's trying. Don't get me wrong. The guy is really improved in that regard. But at the end of the day, he's still a guy that is struggling with the language. And when you come on and try to do an interview and you don't really have that command of the language, that always makes it difficult for you to be a team leader. Now, of course, Todd says he's a very immature preacher. Can you talk to him? Well, like I said, he's getting better. He at least made the effort to get on there, get on there to learn the English language, and actually done his interviews in English. So let's ease up on Mr. Acuna. He's a young guy. I think he's got lots of potential to make some great things happen. So let's leave him alone right now. Let's leave him alone. If you're gonna leave alone, guys, we're not gonna leave you alone, but we have to take a break from the Real Talk Sports Show. And when we come back, we want to talk football, and we have one of our favorite guests on. But you got to keep it locked right here if you want to find out who that is. We'll be back with more of the Real Talk Sports Show in just a moment. Don't go anywhere at all, please. And thank you. Stay tuned. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Well, check out Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We have one of the largest inventories in our area for both new and pre-owned vehicles, so we're sure to have something for everyone. Family owned and operated since 1982, customer satisfaction is our number one priority. Come see our full lineup of vehicles and find the one that best fits you. Give us a call today, 678-726-5739, or shop us 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net.
Coming up next, it's the Real Talk Sports Show, bringing you great sports talk with perspective. Now, here's our host, Jonathan Simmons.
That's right, guys. We're back here with the Real Talk Sports Show, and as promised, we're going to talk a little football. And as promised, I have a guest that, for those of you who watch us, are very familiar. He is he is the embedded sports writer for the AJC covering the Falcons. He's also an award-winning sports writer, and he is Esquire par excellence. The one and only D. Orlando Ledbetter is back in the building. D. Led, what's going on, sir?
Hey, Reverend, not too much. Just settling down after the combine, switching over to free agency here.
Speaking of the combine, let's get right to it. Who was kind of the guy that give us 2 or 3 guys that kind of stuck out to you as far as what happened? And we saw some records broken, but you were there on the scene. Who did you like?
Yeah, the one for me was Amarius Mims from Georgia. He ran a 5.01 for 6'8" guy. That's 340 pounds. That's moving. So yeah, you heard about him. He's one of the anchors of that line. None of the quarterbacks threw, but Michael Penix did throw. Penix, Jr. from Washington, he threw and looked good. Which he got the medicals cleared too. So those people that were worried about that, now you can erase that. So he's in play as one of the quarterbacks outside that second group. But yeah, a lot of kids from Atlanta. Bub Means from Pittsburgh had a good run and lift. Trenton Jones, Hunter Nozad from the Walker School had lifted 27 times. But yeah, it was a good showing all the way around for the locals, which we concentrated on, and the quarterbacks. But most of the big quarterbacks, Caleb didn't throw, Drake May didn't throw, and Jaden Daniels didn't throw. So those were the people that people wanted to see. The wide receiver ran fast, but don't get excited about that, Reverend, because remember when John Ross ran a 4.22. The Bengals overdrafted him at 9, and he played 4 or 5 years in the league, but didn't really do much. Started 21 games, played 31, had 11 touchdowns, but just because you could run a straight line real fast doesn't mean you can play football.
Tyrone was talking about that last night. He said, hey, man, he said, especially with DBs, he said, I don't know why they even do that. He said, because DB, first of all, is normally backpedaling more so than running straight. And he said, I'm going to tell you something, Minister. He said, if a guy's got to be running that 40 and that speed, that means he got beaten. He's trying to catch up. He said, right. So we don't care about that, brother, at all. Well, let's go to, before we go to social media, like you mentioned, the Georgia guys all kind of stood out quite a bit. But the guy I think that was the shocker for me, when I say shocker, as far as the speed in his 40, is Ladd McConkey dropping a 4.39. I mean, D-Led, we know he can catch the ball. We know the guy's a great route runner. Who do you kind of compare him to when you look at McConkey?
Yeah, he's kind of a shifty guy, Wes Welker with some speed to him. That's who he reminds me of as a kind of slot receiver. But he was able to do a lot more in college. But I'll start there with with Wes Welker as a comp for Ladd McConkey.
That's what I thought about too. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that, and it's funny because I was watching one of the plethora of podcasts out there now, and I was watching Julian Edelman, and he was saying that as far as his ability to get in and out of a break, he said Wes Walker was about the greatest he's ever seen. Just his ability in that short space, that 5 yards. He said the guy just give you a juke, he give you kind of a helmet move, and he was somewhere else. Yeah, just incredible. Let's go to social media here, D-Led. I think our man Todd has a question for you. He says, D-Led, Todd wants to get right at the combine and right to the Falcons quarterback problem. He said, D-Led, why not Mayfield, the Tampa QB? And he said, get a kid that's accurate and playoff experience and experience with. He also has experience with the current OC, with the Rams. What do you think about Baker Mayfield as a potential Falcons QB?
Yeah, he's a free agent. He'll be available. He wouldn't be my number 1 or 2 or 3 choice, but hey, if you get down the list to number 4, that's where he'd be. But I don't want to get into a bidding war with Tampa for him. He's got limitations. We saw that in Cleveland. But yeah, he did work with Zach Robinson and Raheem in LA for half a year. So he's on the list just because there's not a lot of quarterbacks out there. But I'm thinking he's 4th behind Cousins, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Then if I got to keep going, then I end up at Mayfield's house.
We say D-Lev, he down the list there. And so now I'm going to do this for you guys. You guys are asking, okay, why would Baker Mayfield be in play? I'm going to pop this up here. Hopefully you guys can see it on the screen. The screen's a little small here, but I went and took a look at Mayfield's stats. And actually, they're not too bad. Look at him during the regular season. This is a guy that put up some decent numbers, constantly kept himself in that low to mid 60% range, almost a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. And then the postseason, surprisingly, put up some pretty good numbers in his postseason. Same thing, almost a 2-to-1 ratio between touchdowns and interceptions, and consistently put himself up there around, in the low 60% for completion. So, yeah, again, I mean, the guy he's serviceable.
Yeah, you could play with him. I mean, but you could play with Jacoby Brissett too. I mean, you're not talking about winning the championship. You just talk about playing.
So where do you think Mr. Blank's head is at? I mean, I heard for a while there, almost like the whole Belichick thing, that the Falcons are locked in, and that Arthur Blank says you got to get Kirk Cousins no matter how much it costs. But I'm thinking, I mean, if I'm looking at how much you're going to have to pay him, and the fact that this is a man that's coming off an ACL, and I think he's going to be 36 or 37, is that still kind of your first choice as the guy you want to bring in here as best shot to kind of advance in postseason, or we should be looking somewhere else?
No, there's not a lot of places to look, Reverend. Not the quarterback play we saw, the backups out there last year. He is 36, but what you're gonna do is I keep hearing 45 million, but nobody's going on the record with that. That's okay. You can do that and spread it out over a couple. But you also still need to draft somebody here that could come behind him in a couple years and take over. So I don't know if you do that at 8 or you do that at 43, but you got to remake the whole quarterback room. And even if he goes up in smoke here, blows that Achilles back out, you got at least a training program in place to turn to a Bo Nix or Spencer Rattler or Michael Penix.
Speaking of Michael Penix, that's a guy I liked, a guy who I thought was actually going to get Washington to the national title. Kind of flamed out against Michigan, who played. I mean, they just were phenomenal those last 6 games of the season. Actually, were phenomenal all season, 15-0. So they just had too much firepower for him. But I like the guy. I think he throws a great deep ball, fairly accurate guy. Again, when you're under pressure, I don't care who you are, you're not going to be as accurate as you want to be. So, but I like Penix. A lot of people are thinking, hey, he's a left-hander. I don't care. The guy just, to me, and even I saw him throw a little bit at the combine. Yeah, that would be the pick. And so yeah, if you can't get, I guess, Justin Fields, I kind of still like Justin Fields. But I tell you, I'm be honest with you, D-Lay. If I had to get a veteran, I don't know how this guy is in the locker room. He's got a lot of stuff going on because his wife is a glamorous entertainer. But man, Russell Wilson, bro, for some reason, Russell Wilson still appeals to me as a guy because he's actually won in postseason, and he's been to multiple Super Bowls. I mean, am I kind of off my rocker here with that?
No, Reverend, and just from what you hear around the league is gives you pause. The whole his own coach and all that kind of stuff, and he's being kind of corny dude that the guys can't follow and all that kind of stuff. But when you look at the stats and go 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, that would have worked out. That'd have been just fine, right
yes, sir.
here.
Yes, sir. That got us a championship game. You right?
You would have gotten the playoffs and got your head beat in by the 49ers. But hey, it's better than not going, I guess. But
yes, sir.
But just you got to go by everything they've been telling us, everything they've been saying. They want a trigger man, they want a processor, they basically say we want a drop back quarterback, we want Matt Ryan. That's what I'm hearing. And so Justin Fields, I look at his record, and I look at the sacks, it gives me pause. He hadn't learned how to read defenses. He's been sacked for 36, 55, 44 times. That's too many. And that's not all on the O-line. And the other thing that one of the guys from Chicago pointed out to me was like, hey, he's 10-28. That's 40 games pretty much. And we haven't seen anybody start 40 games and then, be that, bad. He's won like 10 of them. 10-28 is the record. Okay. We haven't seen anybody go 10-28 and then all of a sudden take off. Drew Brees is the closest, but his record, he didn't play that much early on. He didn't play 40 games. By the time he gets to 40 games in, he's already on his way. So, I mean, this is, historical from guys that have covered league for a long time. They're like, hey, we ain't seen nobody just take off, after playing 40 games. So if he was any good, he would have showed it by now, more than just, 3 or 4 games at the end of last year.
Well, you could be right, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, there was a reason why the Falcons did not draft him initially. And, Yeah, he's had some flashes of brilliance, but I think Mr. Blank wants to win right now. Let's go back to social media. Todd is saying here, let's see what he's got here. I'm going to scroll back a little bit. He's saying, it's AC Hardy. He said, was it possible the Falcons drafting Marius Mims since he had such a great combine, 6'8", 340 pounds? You talked about him earlier because Jake Matthews, he's getting a little long in the tooth. What do you think?
Yeah, no, Mims isn't in that first group of tackles, so you're not taking him 8th. Okay.
Oh, no, not 8. No, I wouldn't do that either. But would that be if the Falcons don't trade? I think what they have at what they have 42 in the second round.
Yeah, he's not gonna
be gone, right?
Yeah,
he'll be gone. Yes.
I got him going. I just did I'm sharing what y'all did my mock draft here. I got him going to the Steelers at 20. So
Right.
so the Falcons, they have a better group of tackles up top. Alt, the Fuuga, they're yeah, those are the tackles that I have in front of Mims, which you could take a tackle at 8, no doubt about it.
Okay. All right, Fantasy Football Goat Strategies asked the question. He said Falcons need to stay young in the quarterback search. If not Fields, why not attempt to trade for Trey Lance? It wouldn't cost too much.
Yeah, I'm thinking you got to consider everything. But I don't think they like Trey Lance coming out. They were happy that they took him right in front of them. The only quarterback they like, but Arthur Smith's gone now, so the thinking could change. But Raheem and them are not a multiple quarterback. That's not a group. This is a drop back group. And so they're not going to change all their pretty motions and drop back stuff to put a running quarterback out there. So I'm thinking that Trey Lance doesn't fit what they want to do.
Deal had a question for you. Now, I know it sounds preposterous, but is there any shot that the Falcons might do the unthinkable and keep Desmond Ridder around, either as a possible backup or a future quarterback situation after learning maybe under a seasoned veteran like a Kirk Cousins or even potentially like a Russell Wilson?
No, if you're there in that spot where you have to keep Desmond around, everybody's gonna have to be professional about it. That's what Raheem said. It's like, hey, we're gonna be professional. And if he's your guy, even in the backup role, he has played. It hasn't been all bad, but if he can eliminate the turnovers, you might have something. But I don't think they developed him right. They had him staring down receivers, and people knew where the ball was going. So you'd have to do some work on that. But if he's you got him under contract for 4 years, so you might as well keep him as insurance for nothing else.
That was a question that Todd had. Does will Ridder be the backup next year, traded or released?
Yeah, I think he's insurance for now. We're just gonna call him insurance. Yeah, he might be the quarterback playing all those exhibition games, and then getting cut loose and going to somebody's practice squad.
And the crazy thing is that's what they should have done before.
Still, Mason Rudolph's still in the league. Look at Chase Daniels, played for 10 years. So you can stick around in this league if you're just kind of okay.
And D-Lay, here's the crazy thing. You talked about this early on. It took me a while to really pick this up, how the quarterback play has diminished dramatically in the last couple of years. Because if you look at Ridder, think about this. He was basically 3 turnovers away from us not even having this discussion.
Right, exactly.
That's it. If he makes 3 less turnovers, the Falcons win those games, they go to the playoffs. Arthur Smith's still here, and nobody's talking about replacing Desmond Ridder. That's how crazy the quarterback play is. All right, let's go to H.C. Hardy. He asked a question about this guy who's actually bouncing around. Carson Wentz. What do you think about him, D-Led?
Yeah, locker room killer. Nobody can get behind that guy. He's been to too many places, and he keeps being the reason. People wouldn't even pick him up last year. So unless he grows up a lot, I wouldn't waste my time with him.
Wow. Okay, speaking of a guy that had a little issues, Calvin Ridley, free agent. Any shot of him being a Falcon again? That's a question from H.C. Hardy.
I don't believe so. Definitely not what if Arthur Smith would have still been here. No. But They need wide receivers, and so Raheem. I don't know what his relationship was with them when he was here, but I think you can do a better upgrade and get somebody that doesn't drop as many passes.
Yeah, I really think this wide receiver uh, draft this year looks pretty deep. I mean, you got about 4 or 5 guys that could really get it, and you got to give them Longhorns some credit, man. That those boys were putting on a show. Like I said, I don't know if they can do anything but run fast, but they definitely put on a big show. Let's go to JD Stacy, a new viewer. JD, thank you for joining us. He says, "I'm glad that Ritter turned it over." LOL. He said, "Man, he's glad." He said, "Thank God Desmond lost those 3 games." LOL. Let's go to our favorite buddy Todd here one more time here. I know D-Led's got to wrap it up, guys, so let's try to get our questions in. Todd says, D-Led, any comments on the survey that came up with players rating the Falcons one of the worst as facilities of coaching? What did they rank, like 15th or 16th or something?
No, they were ranked 25th out of 32. Ooh. We did a big story on that online. They're redoing the facilities. And one of the strength coach was rated as 32nd in the league, and we got an exclusive interview on AJC.com with Dr. Thomas Stallworth defending his program and so forth. So, I just got to direct you to that story on the weight room and the strength coach and some of the other issues that the Falcons have. They've already been addressing a lot of those issues that the players have brought up.
So that's on your blog page on AJC.com?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we'll make sure to let people know about that before you take on. Speaking of that, I think we got one last question. Let me go over to social media before we let D-Led hit the road. I think all right, guys, I'm counting down to 3. You got 3, you got 2, you got 1 to hold your peace, baby. Oh, there it is. JD Stacy jumps in. He says, I thought the weight room issue was fixed at the last time.
No,
I didn't know this last time.
No, they're redoing the weight room. They're expanding the weight room and the locker room, but the strength and conditioning coach was rated as the 32nd strength and conditioning coach in the league. So he was terminated. Raheem brought in his whole new staff. The new staff will get the benefit of the new weight room and new training room and new cafeteria that is under construction in Flowery Branch as we speak.
Well, D-Led, as always, man, you are Johnny on the spot with what's going on with the Falcons. And you know how we do it, guys. Before we let any of our guests or co-hosts go, we want to make sure that you can find out more about them wherever they are. So, D. Orlando Ledbetter, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Reverend. You can find me on Twitter at DOrlandoAJC. We got the mock draft 1.0 coming out tomorrow. Also, the latest episode of the Bowtie Chronicles podcast. Everything you need to know about the Atlanta Falcons. Take care, Reverend, and thanks for having me.
Orlando Ledbetter, appreciate you, sir. Man, that's spoken. D. Orlando Ledbetter. Remember, guys, I'll flash up one more time. Go to AJC.com. Or go right to his cover 9 on 9. You see it right there on the screen. D-Led, thank you, sir. Look forward to seeing you again real soon.
All right,
God bless.
take care.
And man, D. Orlando Ledbetter, appreciate him for joining us here, guys. This is the thing that, it's really your support of this broadcast and really the graciousness of people like D-Led, people like, Tyrone Poole, a guy who was in Fort Valley State Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame, a guy who's been probably going to be inducted into the Black College Football Hall of Fame next year and possibly into the College Football Hall of Fame in the next couple of years. So we appreciate all your support. Your questions are what keep these guys coming back, and it's just great stuff. And then there's our JD Stacy says, we got you in there. And again, we appreciate you, man, so much about what you do and joining us here. Appreciate Todd, appreciate H.C. Hardy, all you guys for being, faithful watchers and followers of our broadcast. We've had one of our best viewers count here tonight. So I thank you guys for hopping in here. It's always a little bit difficult when I'm a one-man show with no Tyrone and, of course, without the lovely Queen, Tree Dolman. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us and peppering us with the questions, man, because that is really what makes Sports Talk Radio go, is when you guys are part of these broadcasts. Remember, we got room for you, baby. If you got a great sports story, you got something compelling, you got maybe a coach or a player that's doing some great stuff, or just maybe a former player. You might say, hey, look, I know a former NFL guy, NBA guy that's got a great, nonprofit they got going on. Please hit me up. It's right here. Here's the information. I'll pop it right here on the screen in just a second. It is this: Jay Simmons at realtalksports.net, or you can text me or call me 678-410-9833. We'd love to get their information in here. Like I said, again, our show is labeled as sports from a different perspective, and we're always trying to bring you the good news of sports and the things that are going on in the world besides all the bad news. So please do that. Remember, follow us anywhere on social media at Real Talk Sports, the number 7, or you can follow me personally at Minister J Sims. That's Minister JSIMM. And in fact, yeah, I am a real live minister. Believe it or not, yeah, I actually didn't get off the internet. Served on the staff of a couple of churches back home. I wasn't from here in Connecticut, and of course, I do not of course, but you don't know, I do a 2 weekly broadcast, one on Wednesday morning called the Clarion Call, and one on Sunday morning early called Preaching in the Park, where sometimes I am actually in an actual park, or I'm in a virtual park here in my studios in Clayton County. So again, man, check us out. Follow us. Real Talk Sports, the number 7. Follow me personally at Minister J Sim. I always try to put some inspirational stuff up on social media for you on all of our pages, because I think that's great. One last time, we finally have this picture up here. We want to give our condolences to the family of Chris Mortensen, both his natural family, physical family, and all the people that work with him at ESPN and various sports organizations around the world. Chris Mortensen, gone at 72, a tough battle with cancer. He was a guy I got a chance to meet once here when I was in Atlanta, just a very cordial guy. And really, as you saw, whatever you saw on TV, that's how he was in person. Very personable guy. Matter of fact, for those of you who live in Atlanta, you know that he also was on one of our local sports stations, 680 The Fan, as a regular contributor. So again, he will be missed. His voice and his character will be missed as well. So our condolences to him, his family, both physical family, natural family, and all the people around the world in sports that enjoyed his company and all the great things he did. Guys, before I leave, I like to always remind you, if you do not have a relationship with God through having, be born again and his son, Jesus Christ, I will say to you, if you have not done that, please, ma'am, please, sir, you must get to know Jesus Christ, your personal Savior. It's real simple. You repent of your sins, believe that he came here both fully man and fully God, and died for your sins and rose from the dead. 2 great things happen. Number 1, you become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. And number 2, you become an adoptive child of God with all the rights therein. That means you now can go to God like a heavenly parent, asking for anything that you need or desire, and according to his will, he'll give it to you. And number 2, when you leave this place, you go to the most spectacular, most beautiful place ever created. That's called heaven. Well, there's none of the following: no pain, no pandemic, no bad people anywhere. You never get old. You never die. The kingdom is illuminated with the glory of God. So it is beautiful and sunny all the time. And you avoid that nasty place called hell, where none of those things are going to be there. Instead, you are going to be with the devil, all his hordes of demons, the most evil people ever born on the earth. And most of all, you're cut off from God, from Jesus Christ, and all the people of love forever and a day. I don't know about you, but option number 1 instead of option number 2. All right, guys, before we go here, I saw him pop into the green room, and he's got a fancy new studio here. So I want him to say hello to you before you get off the air. You know what I'm talking about. The Hall of Famer, the one and only, Mr. Tyrone Poole is in the building. Tyrone, what's going on, sir?
What's going on, Jonathan? How you doing, man? It's been a long time. I know I'm coming in late, but like they say, better late than never, right? But I'm always going to try to support you whenever I can, man. So it's just like salmon. Salmon in the ocean, the salmon may be born on one side of the ocean and they may swim the entire ocean, but they know where to come back home. So I said, let me drop in and see what Jonathan and Real Talk Sports, what they're doing. So I'm enjoying with the Super Friends, right? You guys remember the Super Friends? I had a story about that on my show. So how you doing, Jonathan?
Hey, Tyrone, I'm doing great, brother. We'll do a little overtime here since you dropped in. First of all, great backdrop there. The Super Friends, I remember them when I was younger, man. They were off the chain, bro. I mean, and it was all about teamwork.
Teamwork, sir. That's the point. That was my story, Jonathan. My story was just like in sports, man. If you want to win a championship, If you want to save the world, Superman can't do it by himself, but he's super. But if he can partner with other superheroes, then you can take down the Legion of Doom. You can take down, and I'm not talking about the Seattle Seahawks, right? But you can take down any team when you're surrounded by like-minded people, people who have different abilities, but the principles of your strengths are the same. And then you come together. That's why I call it soot, man. Soot. That's how we won them championships in New England. And that's what I try to tell people in the business world, whether it's sports, whether it's at the home, or whatever, corporate America. Principles, Jonathan, they work for anybody, anywhere. The thing is, most people don't know how the principles work, right? And they start putting their flavor on it. You know, I never saw Superman trying to tell everybody else to be like Superman. No, he just said, I believe Superman said, hey, you know what? I'm going to fly. I can fly. I got X-ray vision. Those are my strengths. Wonder Woman, what are your strengths? Well, I got the lasso. Okay, well, when we come up in a situation where we need the lasso, guess who we call it, right? That's how you win championship. But too many times, corporate America, sports, or in the family, somebody always wants to be the big dog. They always want to be on the key, what do they call it, the jumbo screen. I'll just say that. Right. It can't be like that, Jonathan. If you want to win championships, you got to surround yourself with other superheroes and let them be themselves, but we got one cause.
Say, guys, remember, you want to find out more about Tyrone Poole there. His moniker, guys, work that thing. Need to work that thing, guys. Check out Tyrone Poole. Matter of fact, before we do that, guys, I'm going to let you know you reach him. Tyrone Poole, the floor is yours.
Oh, man, Jonathan, you didn't have to do all that. But, you know, from Jonathan and Real Talk Sports, again, I'm appreciative that you guys took time to even stay this long and tune in to Real Talk Sports every Tuesday. And if you want to look for me, I'm not hard to find. If you can remember my first name and my last name and my football number, then you got my website, TyronePoole38.com, TyronePoole38.com. And that would be the pathway to anything that you want to see that I'm doing, TyronePoole38.com.
Tyrone Poole doing great things. Remember, guys, if you want a guest speaker, there's this flyer right up there. Tyrone Poole will be a guest speaker at your event. Hit him up on social media at Tyrone Poole, number 38, and he'll be more than happy to get back with you and figure out a way that he can come out there and bless your program or your event, whichever may apply. All right, guys, we're going to do this. We're going to leave off with a little commercial by Tyrone Poole to showing you how you can get yourself in shape and work that thing.
This is your time to get what you want. Go work that thing with Work That Thing supplements.
All right, guys, until the next time when we get back together and see you again, both Tyrone and I both say, God bless you and have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, whichever may apply. So long and take care.